headlines of this hour on VTV News. Prime Minister holds dialogue with business community and attends P4G Summit closing ceremony. Vietnamese representative agencies abroad strive to boost trade and investment. In a world news, TEMU and SHEIN to raise prices for U.S. consumers due to Trump tariffs.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is now 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. I'm dealing with the latest updates. Now, State President Luong Kuong on Thursday received the Lao Prime Minister, UN Deputy Secretary General, and the Kenyan Defense Minister while they were in Hanoi for the P4G Summit. More in the following.
State President Luong Kuong conveyed his Bon Pai May New Year greetings to Laos and his regards to General Secretary and President of Laos Thongloun Sisoulith and other Lao leaders. The Vietnamese state president affirmed that Vietnam always attaches importance to and prioritizes developing great friendship, special solidarity and comprehensive cooperation between Vietnam and Laos. The two sides agreed to actively coordinate the two countries' major commemorative events this year, enhance understanding for the younger generation, and further promote the spirit of special solidarity and comprehensive cooperation between Vietnam and Laos.
Receiving Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations Amina Mohammed, State President Luong Kuong emphasized that this year marks the 80th anniversary of the formation and development of the United Nations, and also the 80th anniversary of Vietnam's independence and 50 years of national reunification. Vietnam has always appreciated the contributions of the United Nations over the past 8 decades to maintain world peace and security and promote international cooperation for sustainable development. The state president affirmed that Vietnam strongly supports multilateralism and the central role of the United Nations.
Welcoming Kenyan Defense Minister Soipan Tuya, State President Luong Kuong suggested that the East African Financial and Technological Center promote cooperation with Vietnam in investment, trade, agriculture and tourism, focusing on cooperation in the defense industry, logistics, military medicine and sharing experience in United Nations peacekeeping operations. He also asked Kenya to support Vietnam in strengthening relations with the African Union. For her part, Soipan Tuya proposed that the two countries soon expand and concretize cooperation in defense and security, ensuring food security, building social housing, and universal health care.
Now, within the fourth P4G Summit agenda, Prime Minister Phie chaired the dialogue between leaders and the business community on Thursday, focusing on promoting public-private partnership for sustainable development. The Prime Minister also attended the closing ceremony of the fourth P4G Summit with the Ethiopian Prime Minister.
The dialogue brought together more than 300 delegates, including heads of delegations of countries and international organizations attending the P4G Summit, and 250 leaders of domestic and international corporations, associations, and enterprises. Speaking at the dialogue session, Prime Minister Phie shared many current issues that the business community is interested in, and affirmed that Vietnam always takes businesses' opinions into account. The Prime Minister underlines public-private partnership as the key to realizing the goals of rapid and sustainable development. Thus, building a comprehensive and effective ecosystem for public-private partnership is crucial.
3 key tasks are set for governments, including reducing compliance fees and input costs to enhance business product competitiveness and improving human resources training to boost business productivity. Enterprises investing in green production should receive priority policies on fiscal matters, land, and so on.
Also on Thursday, Prime Minister Phie and the Prime Minister of Ethiopia attended the closing ceremony of the 4th P4G Summit. The summit adopted the Hanoi Declaration on Sustainable Green Transformation, focusing on people. In his closing remarks, Prime Minister Phie highly appreciated the conference's discussions and thanked all delegates for their contributions to its success. He underlined the 5 consensus results achieved by the conference, which highlight green technology solutions, sustainable agriculture and food systems, high-quality human resources training, and environmentally friendly energy transformation.
I respectfully call for enhanced cooperation with P4G members. Let's turn commitments into actions, ideas into concrete projects, and consensus into a strong determination to implement a sustainable and prosperous future for all nations and peoples. Together, we will build an increasingly greener, cleaner, more beautiful, and better world.
At the closing ceremony, Prime Minister Phie and Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali jointly conducted the ceremony to hand over the hosting role of the 5th P4G Summit in 2027.
Now, during his official visit to Vietnam, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali and his spouse joined Prime Minister Phie and his partner in experiencing Hanoi's rich culinary culture with signature Vietnamese dishes such as pho and local coffee. Prime Minister Abiy expressed his appreciation for the warm welcome. He was impressed by Vietnam's dynamic development and the vibrant yet peaceful atmosphere of the capital, Hanoi. The two leaders and their spouses later took a stroll along Thanh Nguyen Street, enjoying the views of West Lake and Chuk Mak Lake, and visited the historic Trần Quốc Pagoda. The Ethiopian Prime Minister voiced his hope to soon welcome Prime Minister Phie and Vietnamese leaders to Ethiopia to deepen bilateral ties further. On the sidelines of the P4G summit, Prime Minister Phie held separate meetings with United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohamed and Asian Development Bank ADB Vice President Scott Morris.
Prime Minister Phie met with the UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohamed, highlighting Vietnam's poverty reduction and SDG implementation progress. He urged continued UN support in science, technology, innovation, and a just energy transition. The Prime Minister reaffirmed Vietnam's commitment to global peace and development. The UN Deputy Secretary General praised Vietnam's green leadership, noted its dynamic growth, and stressed the need to strengthen multilateral cooperation.
Prime Minister Phie met with ADB Vice President Scott Morris, thanking the bank for its support and highlighting Vietnam's focus on infrastructure, science and technology, and digital, healthcare and education development. He called for ADB to support large-scale, transformative projects. Morris praised Vietnam's reforms and economic management. Prime Minister Phie also witnessed the signing of a $400 million loan and aid agreement with the World Bank and ADB for climate, water, and logistic projects.
Prime Minister Phie continued his agenda with a series of meetings with leaders of key international organizations on the sidelines of the P4G summit, focusing on global trade, green growth, and sustainable agriculture.
In his meeting with the UNCTAD Secretary General, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh discussed the evolving global landscape, particularly growing trade competition, and emphasized the need for enhanced multilateralism and global solidarity. He welcomed UNCTAD's role in tackling global challenges and building a sustainable future. He also committed to Vietnam's full support in organizing the 16th UNCTAD Ministerial Conference, which was in line with international standards and national regulations. The Secretary General congratulated Vietnam on its successful hosting of the P4G summit.
During his meeting with the GGGI Director General, the Prime Minister expressed appreciation for the Institute's support and called for deeper, more actionable cooperation. He emphasized the need for policy consultation, legal framework development, green capital mobilization, and human resource training. The Prime Minister also proposed that GGGI help connect Vietnam with global financial institutions to access green growth funding and assist in designing and implementing projects that meet international standards for effective and timely disbursement.
In a meeting with the Vice President of IFAD, the Prime Minister reiterated Vietnam's commitment to developing sustainable, low-emission agriculture. He proposed increased concessional funding and grants for projects applying technology in farming, supporting mechanization, and enhancing agricultural productivity and product value. He particularly sought IFAD support for Vietnam's initiative to cultivate 1 million hectares of low-emission rice and to accelerate carbon market development. The IFAD Vice President applauded Vietnam's social and administrative reforms, recognizing them as a strong foundation for international cooperation.
Coming up next, Vietnam representative agencies abroad strive to boost trade and investment. Resistant war against America shows victory of indomitable will. Welcome back to VTV News. Given the new policies of U.S. President Donald Trump's administration, international trade is expected to record many major changes this year and next. As a result, the Vietnamese government recently held a conference with relevant bodies to adapt to the new global situation. Economic diplomacy was identified as a priority, with many urgent tasks set for Vietnamese representative agencies abroad.
Immediately after the conference with the Prime Minister, the delegation of the Vietnamese embassy in Brazil met with the government there and the Federation of Industries of Sao Paulo State to promote trade and investment. Economic diplomacy is being thoroughly implemented by representative agencies as directed by the government to prevent trade and investment disruptions.
I highly appreciate Prime Minister Pham Minh China's timely instructions at the recent conference. The embassy will continue to promote economic diplomacy, following the government's instructions to deploy a flexible response to global trade challenges.
The Prime Minister's instructions are very methodical. The focus is on maintaining market diversity and ensuring normal exporting of key products. Representative offices also need to consult and negotiate with long-standing partners to reduce fluctuation impact on Vietnamese and partner economies.
According to estimates, even if the United States decides to reduce import taxes to Vietnam to 0%, it will still have a trade deficit of more than $100 billion. Thus, unpredictable factors remain.
Information gathering and forecasting by Vietnamese representative agencies are crucial, especially in key markets. For example, the Vietnamese embassy in Berlin is able to closely follow Germany's developments and reactions to the U.S. new policy, providing timely information to the government, domestic agencies, ministries, branches, and enterprises about developments in the German market.
It takes joint efforts from all Vietnamese representative agencies abroad to help businesses overcome potential challenges in the U.S. market. A possible solution is making use of the Singaporean market, which can facilitate the trading of Vietnamese goods to many other markets internationally.
Given global fluctuations, achieving the growth target of 8% in 2025 is challenging for the Vietnamese economy. Therefore, the government is strengthening coordination between agencies within and outside the country to maximize potential trade and investment opportunities.
The Tân Sơn Nhất Terminal T3 has officially come into operation, with the first flight taking off, carrying more than 100 passengers from Ho Chi Minh City to Vân Đồn, Quảng Ninh. The first passengers experienced the entire automated aviation procedure, from check-in, security check and screening to the boarding gate using biometric technology. Terminal T3 has 27 boarding gates. There are 6 departure baggage handling islands and 10 baggage reclaim carousels. In particular, the terminal is designed with 8 security control gates and a separate area for VIP, business class, and priority passengers. In addition, the new terminal will also have a complex of 2 basement levels, 4 floors above ground, and a 3-story motorbike parking lot connected by a bridge corridor, with a total floor area of 130,000 square meters. 85 projects nationwide will commence and be inaugurated simultaneously to mark the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and National Reunification Day. These initiatives comprise national key projects and major undertakings by ministries, branches, and local authorities. The Ministry of Construction leads and coordinates with the government office, ministries, branches, and local authorities to review the projects, ensuring they meet all requirements for inauguration, commencement, technical operations, and completion. Now, half a century ago, Vietnam's resistant war against America was completely victorious. It is considered a war between America's military power and modern warfare, and Vietnam's indomitable will and aspiration for peace and independence. The story of this war has been deeply felt by American veterans and the later generations, including Craig McNamara, son of former U.S. Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara, who was once known as the chief architect of the American war in Vietnam.
Throughout his childhood, Craig McNamara witnessed his father make pivotal decisions to escalate the war in Vietnam.
That was at 13. And then as the war increased, as we began to send more troops, as we began to weaponize and start bombing Hanoi and northern Vietnam, I felt devastated. I felt alone. I felt lied to.
Visiting Ấp Bắc in Tiền Giang, Craig was very surprised to learn that the Vietnamese guerrillas only used rudimentary weapons to destroy U.S. helicopters and armored vehicles.
America is a rich country. They have a lot of money and modern weapons, but they still fail because they cannot have the people's trust. With the support of the people, Vietnam won the war.
My father didn't take the opportunity to understand the history of your nation.
From a man who was very confident of victory, U.S. Secretary of Defense McNamara gradually felt scared of Vietnam's military as his tactics, technology, and weapons were broken and defeated.
Robert McNamara couldn't calculate Vietnam's combat capability. He couldn't do that because this war involved all the Vietnamese people. It was a people's war, and the party's leadership had the support of everyone.
One of the most moving pieces of this for me has been the conversations that I have had with members, soldiers, the Liberation Front. As I walked from tombstone to tombstone, I came upon one tombstone. The soldier was born the same year that I was born. And as an 18-year-old, as I was preparing to go to college, he was killed in the battlefield. The source of the strength is in your heart. The source of the strength is bring peace to your country.
Ahead of the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification, the Independent Palace of District 1 Ho Chi Minh City has become a vibrant and meaningful destination for visitors. The site once witnessed the historic moment that united the country, now sees people continuing that legacy with gratitude and pride.
Visiting the site allows visitors to not only capture beautiful photos, but also relive the heroic spirit of the nation, felt in every wall and corner.
I am so proud and grateful to be here at this historic site. Everyone is working hard for the upcoming anniversary. I always remind myself to cherish and preserve what our ancestors sacrificed so much for.
Many parents have dressed their children in soldier outfits, boonie hats, and yellow star t-shirts, planting the love for the homeland in the hearts of the next generation.
For this special occasion, our school organized this field trip to give the children a chance to learn more about the country's history and hopefully grow a deeper love for our homeland.
Every moment at this historic site reminds visitors of a resilient nation and enduring pride. Today's young generation will carry the sacred flame passed down by those before them, moving forward with strength to build an even brighter future for the country.
Coming up next in our world news. TEMU and SHEIN to raise prices for U.S. consumers due to President Trump's tariffs. Kenya rejected 2.3 million visa applications in 2024. Moving on to our global updates, China-founded e-commerce sites TEMU and SHEIN said they plan to raise prices for U.S. customers starting next week, a ripple effect from President Donald Trump's attempts to correct the trade imbalance between the world's two largest economies. Both companies said they would be making price adjustments starting April 25, although neither provided details about the size of the increases. In the announcement, TEMU and SHEIN said that the price adjustments are due to their increased operating costs. Since launching in the United States, SHEIN and TEMU have given Western retailers a run for their money by offering products at ultra-low prices, coupled with avalanches of digital or influencer advertising. In 2024, Canada rejected more than 2.3 million visa applicants, including students, foreign workers, and tourists. It marks the highest rejection rate for temporary resident applications. According to the statistic from the Toronto Star, the most significant increase in visa rejection rates was noted for visitors' visas. Now, in 2024, 1.95 million visitors' visa applications were denied, accounting for 54% of all visitors' visas, up from 40% registered in 2023. Study permit rejections hit 52%, while work permit refusal stood at 22%, a slight dip from 23% in 2023. The increase in visa rejection rates comes amid ongoing pressure from Canada's government to reduce immigration. Google said on Wednesday that it would defend itself after some 250,000 UK businesses filed a multi-billion-pound legal claim against the US tech giant for allegedly overcharging for online advertising. Law firm Geraldine Partners said it has filed a $6.6 billion claim with Britain's Competition Appeal Tribunal, arguing that Google's abused its dominant position to exclude competitors from the general search and search advertising markets. This is the first claim of its kind in the UK, and it seeks redress for harm caused to the businesses forced to pay inflated prices for advertising space on Google pages. In response, a Google spokesperson described the cat filing as yet another speculative and opportunistic case. He added consumers and advertisers use Google because it's helpful, not because there are no alternatives. In recent days, the Expo 2025 World Exhibition in Osaka, Japan has gained the public's attention. The 6-month event has participants from about 160 countries. Under the theme, Designing Future Society for Our Lives, the host country, Japan, showcased cutting-edge innovations shaping future technology designs.
Themed Designing Future Society for Our Lives, Japan hopes World Expo 2025 will portray a future society through its ideas about life, the world, and the future. Here, robot skill sets are displayed. Meanwhile, the outdoor exhibition space was the venue to show off personal air mobility. Lift Aircraft, a US-based company, debuted its personal mobility aircraft, Hexa, which can reach heights of up to 10 meters.
Even with today's batteries, you can fly an aircraft like this, which is a very lightweight aircraft, and you can go relatively short distances, but that's really, really useful.
Nearby, some visitors are testing a hands-free electric mobility chair called the UniOne. The user controls the seated personal mobility device by using their body weight to tilt and rotate the device.
At first, I thought it would be difficult to control this device, but once I got on it, I could easily control it right away.
Kawasaki Heavy Industries introduced the Corleo, a four-legged robot motorcycle. Instead of wheels, the motorcycle moves on four legs with non-slip rubber hooves, allowing it to walk, run, and even jump over rough terrain. It also has no steering wheel. The rider controls it by moving their body.
It was designed for use in places like mountain trails, shallow rivers, or terrain over which one must ride a horse.
With big ideas and unique designs, Expo 2025 is bringing future technology closer to the present day.
And as usual, let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's the end of VTV News. To rewatch your program, you can download VTVgo on our mobile application or visit our YouTube channel at VTV4go. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again at 3 p.m. local time.